Maria Elena Durazo is going to talk to us about jobs and immigration and the impact on child poverty. For those few people that may not know her, she's one of the most powerful labor leaders in the country and is the executive secretary, treasurer of the Los Angeles County Federation of Labor with over 600,000 members. New York Times profile of Maria Elena stated, and I quote, "As Executive Secretary Treasurer of the LA County Labor Fed, she presides over what is widely perceived as the most successful group of unions in the country." And an LA Times feature about her said, and I quote, "Maria Elena Durazo is probably the single most influential individual in Los Angeles." Maria Elena's parents were migrant farm workers. She followed the crops, changed schools constantly, never going to the same grammar school or high school consistently, but went on to graduate from St. Mary's College. More recently, she was the national co-chair of President Obama's first campaign in 2008 and his re-election campaign in 2012. National leader on social justice, immigration reform, obviously tremendous leadership and organizational abilities, toughness, understands issues, commitment to resolve them. But just a personal note about Maria Elena. And, you know, there's an element of, I think, personal warmth and friendship that lends to her great strength. Sandra Sanchez, who, if you haven't met, you should, because Vice President of Grace, probably most responsible for putting together this conference. Sandra's husband, Rusty Hicks, who just returned from a year in Afghanistan as a naval intelligence officer, is political director of the LA County Labor Fed. And so while Rusty was away for a year, it's a long time, with a lot of tension and pressure, I was just enormously struck by the way that Maria Elena constantly made certain that Sandra was doing all right, always included in everything, and it was this expression of personal warmth and friendship in the context of her national advocacy and enormous responsibilities here in LA that I think says so much about her and I think is part of her success and leadership. Maria Elena Durazo.
Good morning. Buenos dias. It's so great to be here. Thank you, Conway. Thank you to Grace and the endowment for putting us all together to really do more than what we're doing on this crisis affecting millions of Californians. And I'm so proud to have met just a week or so ago my sister Marian Edelman, and I'm just honored. I'm honored by the way that you are able to articulate the issues that we face today, and especially talk about movement building, because we tend to forget that. You know, we tend to forget we're professionals and doing our work, and somehow let the marching and the action stuff, leave that up to other people. It's not up to other people. And if we hold up Dr. Martin Luther King and Gandhi and Nelson Mandela, that should be enough for us to move us to walk on those marches and picket lines and do whatever it takes in terms of direct action. So I challenge us all to keep doing that. And I commit to you the expansion of the Freedom Schools. I was introduced to the Freedom School this last year. We did it at the Miguel Contreras High School, and I never knew how powerful the Freedom Schools are, and I pledge to work hard to expand those schools to our entire community. So again, thank you for all of your extraordinary work, sister. Thanks, Sandra, for invited me, and Dr. Ross, for our partnership, Conway, for the work that you do. You know, for a very long time, migrants have traveled west. There's something about moving west to capture that dream, that American dream. And it was because of that movement over here, we actually, over the many years, I think led many to conclude that as California goes, so goes the nation, and maybe even the world. We see a lot and we hear a lot about the glitz and the glamour of Hollywood. We see it, you know, people see these things on television all over the world, our creative minds of the Silicon Valley, you know, the ingenuity of the iPhone. I mean, what can you not love about California, where you can surf the waves and ski the slopes all in the same day, right? But obviously, a closer look reveals a reality for many in which the California dream is an illusion. And for many, the concept of a full-time job that actually pays a wage capable of providing for a family remains unattainable and more a fantasy. And poverty's greatest impact falls on our community's most vulnerable members, our children. Today, you just heard from our sister Flora, a worker at El supermarkets. Unfortunately, her story is not uncommon. It is more common than not. And as she was telling her story, I thought about my own. My parents, migrant farm workers, we grew up working in Oregon and California. We worked day in and day out, literally for pennies. But the poverty we experienced was not limited to our family's empty pockets. The lack of health care resulted in the death of an infant brother of mine. And so much so, not only did he die, but we weren't making enough money to give him the proper burial. And had it not been for a collection at the local church, he would not have had the proper burial. Yes, we worked hard. We worked hard every single day. But that low wage wasn't enough. Out of our family of 11 kids, I was fortunate enough to go from the fields and to go on to college. But as we all know today, a college degree doesn't make us any more immune to the downturn of a tough economy, right? We know this younger generation is having a heck of a time finding a good job, even when they've followed all the rules and gone to school and did everything they were supposed to do. And I went through that as well as a young single mother. You know, I fell very far behind when I had lost my job at one point. But since then, I've dedicated my work to making sure that working people have a voice and that they have a real shot at a better life. The challenges facing the working poor have grown today. It's not gotten easier, it's gotten harder. And the numbers show that low wages and child poverty are linked, completely linked. LA County is a home to 30% of the state's poor children. And we are the low-wage capital of the country. In the city of Los Angeles, we just did this study, 46%, in the city of LA, 46% of workers make an average wage of $9.55 an hour. In the city of LA, 46% make less than $20,000 per year. That's approximately 810,000 workers. Now, sisters and brothers, what does that say about what we're doing in Los Angeles? Many, of course, don't have high school diplomas, single parents, Latinos, young, under 30 years of old. They get a second job. They get a second job. What else are they supposed to do? I heard testimony the other day from a brother who works in a hotel. He gets up to be able to go to his first job at 3:30 in the morning, 4 o'clock in the morning, goes for 8 hours, leaves that job, goes to his second job, and then he works till 11 p.m. at night, gets home. He gets about 3 or 4 hours of sleep every day. and that doesn't make him rich. That's just to allow him to pay a few more of the basic expenditures, housing, food, and transportation. And so sisters and brothers, they make the decision to eat that night or save the food for the following day, to go to the doctor or wait a few days and hope that they get better. You know, many times, without a doubt, it's the children that experience the brunt of the hardship. You know, they move from place to place, attend a different school, parent working to ends meet. But they get that second job, what happens to those kids? How do those kids get raised when parents are having to work 2 jobs or 3 jobs or away from home 6 to 7 days out of the week? It's a cycle of poverty. And despite our best efforts to pass progressive policies, immigrant workers find even less protection and more vulnerable. Wage theft, sisters and brothers, wage theft is common. It's not a here and there. It is common in 8 to 9 different economic sectors of California's economy. Wage theft. That's not getting the minimum wage of $8 an hour. That means you do not get paid. There is a car wash workers campaign that started a few years ago. Those workers constantly did not get paid their wages and therefore relied exclusively on tips. This is in our metropolitan Los Angeles. So how do we address this? Well, certainly there's a shortage of good jobs, an abundance of low-wage jobs. That's it. And sisters and brothers, we certainly made the decision recently in our California legislature to raise the minimum wage to $10 an hour by 2016. Okay? That's good in the right direction. But it is not enough. And if it's going to be raised, it needs to be raised to at least $15 an hour. Period. Period. No negotiating over that. It's $15 an hour. In the city of LA, if we did that, we would increase wages for workers by $7 billion. That much more money would circulate in our economy. Because sisters and brothers, that is not enough to go and put in the bank and put it away for another day. It just means you're going to spend it with the basic necessities. That's what that means. I know of no better anti-poverty program than a good job. And better yet, a union job. A union job that gives you a voice to speak up on the job, gives you democracy in the workplace. It is more pervasive than any government program, more sustainable than any philanthropic endeavor. It is the long-term solution, the systemic solution, sister, that we need to work on. And we're doing it, creating living wage, good jobs, by investing in our public works projects that require local hire, for all our communities to have access to those career middle-class jobs and be able to support their family. We're regulating industries with low-wage workers to make sure they get a piece, just a piece, of the profits that they generate. And we want to make sure that those go to creating good jobs. Sisters and brothers, we also need to do something about comprehensive immigration reform with a pathway to citizenship. It's good for the immigrants. It's good for their families. It's good for our economy. We work and live alongside immigrants through our society. We go to church together. We work together. We're neighbors. They are a part of our society. It's time for them to be real partners in our society. Let's stop the hypocrisy of when we need them, they're illegal. They're legal. When we need them, they're legal. When they need us, they're illegal. Let's stop the hypocrisy and do something about comprehensive immigration reform. Sisters and brothers, I just leave you with one last thought. Workers who live paycheck to paycheck are not looking to get rich. It's not about buying a fancy car, a big house, or flying first class to an exotic destination. It is about providing the bare basics: housing, food, transportation, health care for their families. The best way, in my opinion, the best way for them to do that is a good job. A good job gives them the dignity that they deserve as human beings. It gives them the dignity to work, bring home, and raise their kids. And say to their kids, when you work hard, you will be rewarded. You will be rewarded in a way that is different from getting charity or somebody else, to pay for the bills. We all know that creating the dignity in our communities is so important. It's as important as financially bringing home a good paycheck. We give the confidence to our kids, and we need to, sisters and brothers, create the same middle class in our nation that we had once upon a time. A strong middle class is going to get us what we need as a nation for the security that we deserve, as my sister was saying earlier, but more importantly, a strong, healthy society. In my view, sisters and brothers, that's our best hope of ending child poverty in California. Muchas gracias. Thank you all very much.